The auction was held deep in the bowels of a derelict cargo freighter drifting through a lawless sector of space. The air reeked of oil, desperation, and incense meant to hide the first two. I didn't like it, but I wasn't here for pleasure. I was here for leverage. The black market on Zareth. 9 sold everything. Weapons, information, clone memories, even dreams if you had the credits. I came for something a little more human. Specifically, someone the Dravik Syndicate had stolen from the Outer Rim worlds. A captive, useful in more ways than one. That's how I justified it. They say this one sings like the crystal moons of Teverin, the slaver rasped, pulling back the veil of the next lot. She stood still on the stage, chains looped lightly around her wrists, not tight enough to restrain, but symbolic like a mockery of freedom. She wore a silken red wrap, her posture unnaturally straight, her face blank. But her eyes, not afraid, not broken, angry. I leaned forward. "Do I hear 500,000 credits?" The slaver barked. 600, came a voice from the crowd. Probably some noble scum from Vel Carthes, judging by the accent. I waited. 800,000. 950. I raised a hand lazily. 1.2 million credits. The crowd stilled. The slaver blinked, then grinned wide. Sold. Just like that, I'd bought a woman. The idea still turned my stomach, even if I intended to free her later. That was the plan. I wasn't a saint, but I wasn't a monster either. I approached as she was brought to me. Her eyes met mine, silver and strange under the flickering lights. "You have a name?" I asked softly. She looked up, voice quiet enough that only I could hear. "I was a princess once." I stopped cold. On board my ship, the Resolute, I did what I could to make her comfortable. Not easy, since she wouldn't talk. She just sat in the observation lounge, staring at the stars like they were old friends who'd abandoned her. "You said you were a princess." She didn't look away from the glass. "My name is Sarala, daughter of House Nkari, High Regent of the Valari Ascendancy." My breath caught. The Valari had been wiped out 2 years ago. Everyone believed their line extinguished when the Dravik unleashed their iron fleets on the crystalline cities of Valar's prime. The Empire had fallen in a week, and the royal family? Burned alive on a broadcast looped across dozens of systems. I'd seen it. We all had. "I saw your death," I whispered. "No, you saw what they wanted you to see." Her voice was like velvet laced with steel. I realized then that I hadn't rescued some helpless captive. I'd brought a political powder keg onto my ship. "Why tell me?" I asked. "Why now?" "Because if you meant to harm me," she said, finally turning to face me, "you would have let them win the bid." The next few days were strange. Sarala made no effort to flee, nor did she act like a prisoner. She carried herself like royalty, brushing past crew as though walking palace halls. My engineer, Jax, swore she could sense power fluctuations before they happened. My medic, Hal, claimed she corrected his diagnosis before his scanner did. And she was watching me. Always. "You're not what I expected from a slave buyer," she said one night over dinner. She ate with precise movements, as if even chewing required grace. "I wasn't buying a slave," I replied. "I was buying information. You found more than you bargained for. Captain." "Dane," I offered. "Just Dane." She nodded. "Then I'm just Sarala." But neither of us believed that. It wasn't long before trouble followed. We were docked at a neutral station in orbit over Lorth Minor, picking up fuel and food. Sarala insisted on walking freely. No disguise, no mask. I argued, but she just smiled. "If they're looking for me, they'll find me," she said. "Better they find me with you." We were followed back to the ship. 3 men, Dravik agents, cloaked and armed. They didn't get far. I'm no elite assassin, but I've survived wars and raids that kill captains twice as cautious. When I saw the first flash of movement, I had my pulse pistol out and fired. Sarala didn't even flinch. In fact, she was already moving. She ducked, rolled, and pulled a blade from her dress. One of them lunged at her. He died fast. The second tried to run. Sarala caught him in the leg, dragged him back, and pressed her heel to his throat. "Tell your masters the line of Nkari still lives," she hissed, "and death rides with her." She let him crawl away. I didn't ask questions until we were back on the ship. "Are you trying to get us killed?" "They already want me dead. You too now." "Thanks." Sarala smiled. "You still have a choice, Dane. Leave me on the next planet. Walk away. I won't hold it against you. You think I scare that easy? I think you don't understand what's coming." She was right. 2 days later, an entire Dravik battleship appeared in orbit over the uninhabited moon where we'd hidden. It jammed our systems, fried the NAV beacons, and deployed troops. Sarala stood beside me on the bridge. "Get to the escape pods," I told her. "No, there's no running." She turned to me, eyes alight. "Activate the long-range transmission array. I need to speak to the stars." "That's suicide." "They'll trace the signal. They already know I'm here." Against my instincts, I did as she asked. As her voice rang through the systems, clear, strong, regal, I watched something I never expected. All across the system, hidden signals activated. Ships that hadn't responded in years lit up with power. Ghost fleets buried in asteroid belts came online. Messages bounced back. One simple response: "By your command, Highness." She turned to me, serene. "The Royal Guard. Scattered but loyal. They've waited, and now they rise." My comms officer looked stunned. "They're engaging the Dravik." "Sir, they're winning." In minutes, the massive ship above us was shredded by coordinated strikes from vessels we thought were lost to history. The princess wasn't just surviving. She was reclaiming her throne. Later, in the quiet aftermath, I stood with her in the observation deck again. The stars looked different now, less distant. "You used me," I said, without accusation. "I gave you the truth. You made me a traitor to the Dravik. They never deserved your loyalty. Did you know this would happen?" "I hope." Her voice softened. "But I didn't know until you looked at me and saw more than what they tried to make me." We stood in silence a long while. "I'm going to rebuild the Ascendancy," she said. "Not as it was, but as it should have been. You'll need allies. I already have one." Her hand slipped into mine, not with the grace of a royal, but the warmth of someone who had learned to trust again. "I'm no knight," I warned. "No," Sarala said with a smile, "but you bought a pleasure slave and found a queen. That makes you braver than most." The galaxy shifted that day, not with war, but with a whisper. I was a princess once, and now she was something more. Not a prisoner, not a product. A woman rising from ashes, crowned not in gold, but in defiance. And beside her stood a man who'd come looking for leverage, but found purpose instead.